Please just make sure you have your cameras and your mics off for the first part of the workshop as we get started here. All right, we have a full house today. Welcome to a Coinbase workshop where you guys are going to use AgentKit to give every AI agent a crypto wallet. And we're here today with Lincoln Murr. Thank you so much for joining us, Lincoln, and have a fantastic workshop.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Hey, everyone. Very happy to be here. Hope all of your hacking has been going well so far. My name is Lincoln. I am the product lead for Coinbase Developer Platform's AgentKit. I'll be going over briefly a little bit about what AgentKit is. I suspect a lot of you all are potentially already familiar with it, so I'll kind of gloss over those points. Really, what I want to talk about is some of the areas and directions on where we see agents going, some of the ideas and sort of wish list items that I'd love to see come out of this hackathon, and also talk a little bit about our new upgrade. So we had a 0.1 release come out on Saturday morning. So our code changed a little bit, and I just want to run through it, show you all a little bit about how it works, some of the new features we have, and generally what you can do with it that you previously weren't able to do. So all that being said, I'll go ahead and share my screen. We can start running through this quick little slide that I have here. Yeah, basically I'll be going over how you can go from nothing to a fully on-chain based agent. So as a refresher, Coinbase Developer Platform is our tools and set of components to make it as easy as possible to start building on-chain apps. Whether or not you have coding experience, whether or not you're familiar or on-chain native, we want to make sure that you have everything that you need to build amazing experiences that can help bring people on-chain. We have lots of different components that help you do this, not only programmatic wallets, both for agents and for humans, but also the ability to do an on-ramp using Apple Pay and guest checkout with no sign-up required. We have a paymaster so that you can sponsor transactions on your user's behalf. And we have on-chain kit, which allows you to have React components that you do things like sign in to a website with a wallet and all sorts of other fun stuff. Here's a full picture of the stack. All of these tools are built so that they can work on Base, but we also support various other networks and are also always looking to support new ones. So on-chain AI agents is something that has absolutely blown up in the past couple of months. We first got into the game back in October, and it has been incredible to see the growth and excitement around them since then. I thought it would do pretty well, to be honest. Like AI and crypto are two of the craziest buzzwords. When you put them together, it just things go wild. But I never thought it would be as crazy as it is, and it's so amazing to see that now we have initiatives and programs that are incentivizing builders to come and work in this space. It's something that's absolutely needed to help progress the field. We really believe that every AI agent deserves a wallet and ultimately will have a wallet. The reason being is that if you give them a bank account, there's all sorts of weird stuff around like how exactly would this work? Are you able to give them a bank account when they aren't even really a human? So we think that internet native money is much better for this type of use case. We also think that the ability to have on-chain interactions and do things like send money to anyone, anywhere in the world for completely free, and while also earning yield through DeFi and all these other fun activities that you can do, make it a very compelling use case. The crypto agent landscape is already massive, and there's so many different things that are going on with it. So to help you understand exactly where AgentKit fits in, I think it's most helpful to think of it as in between this sort of like framework and infrastructure layer. So the idea is we can give every AI agent a crypto wallet, but we're not explicitly a crypto framework ourselves. More so, we're able to plug into any existing framework. So that could be Eliza, that could be Game by Virtuals, that could be Langchain. It doesn't matter. It's always a seamless plug and play experience, and that's exactly what we're going for. So AgentKit is this tool to give these agents crypto wallets, as I just said. It's model agnostic, so you can use whatever model you want. DeepSeek, OpenAI, Claude, Venice, Hyperbolic, Gaia, all of them are completely possible to use. And it takes the existing tools within the Coinbase Developer Platform and wraps them up in a nice little way that an agent can use. So we think this is really important for a few reasons. The primary use case that I've been seeing so far is that it unlocks a completely new interaction group. And what I mean by this is that Right now, it's quite difficult to use something like a DeFi front end, for example. You have to first understand what an app like Aave or Uniswap does. You have to navigate to their app. Sorry, I'm coming over a little bit of a sickness. You have to figure out exactly how to use it, how to sign in with your wallet, go through all of these complex steps, and only then are you able to approve a transaction and actually do something. With agents, the paradigm is completely reversed, where instead I can just talk to an agent in natural language and say something like, I want to swap or I want to earn yield. And the agent handles all of the complexities around finding the right protocol and doing the interaction for you. I think this is truly how we get to a billion users is by prioritizing the most user-abstracted experience possible. For protocols, it also offers them an entirely new user group to go after. And I think it'll be the way that all sorts of directions in terms of user experience start to trend. Lots of praise for AgentKit over the last couple of weeks and months. And as I said, this is kind of where AgentKit fits within this directional landscape type thing. So there are two main use cases that we also see agents starting to trend towards. The first is this idea of a human assistant where you basically talk to it, it does some action for you, and you have this human in the loop at all times. This has been the most common use case thus far, but I also think there's a ton of potential in the fully autonomous agent space where agents are able to interact without true human intervention. The example I love to use here is that 10 or so years down the line, we might have self-driving cars that fully own themselves. And you think, how could they possibly do that? Well, imagine they have a decentralized AI and some decentralized agent infrastructure and a crypto wallet. They can run a taxi service using that crypto wallet to help pay for operational costs. And this will allow them to be fully autonomous and just live and exist within the world. They'll be a revenue generating entity that can also pay for its own maintenance. At that point, what else do you really need? There's a few really cool examples that I want to use to sort of inspire you about what's possible. The first is the ability to do all sorts of interesting things around agentic commerce. So this is one of the first things I'd love to see come out of this hackathon is more focus on AI agents who can do things with money and commerce and those types of rails. So Byte is a really good example of an AI agent that's able to deliver food for you. So you can go on their website, you can just type or voice and say, hey, I'd like to order a Big Mac to my door. And it will go ahead and order that completely for you. No checkout flow required. One thing that I'll see, and I'll get specific here to help you out, is using VisaNet. Particularly how you do this is there's Cypher debit cards. The one that I'm most familiar with is the offering from Moonwell. And this allows you to top up a debit card with stable coins and then use that to pay for things. So combining that with the Zinc API basically allows you to order things on Amazon with your agent, and your agent will have stable coins and it'll have a crypto wallet where it could earn yield or send money to anyone peer-to-peer completely free. But as soon as it wants to make a transaction, you pay that 2% fee and maybe a little bit more for the API. But as a result, you're able to tell your agent to do something like order me toilet paper or something along those lines, which I think is really interesting. Another one that I thought was a really fascinating use case is from Hyperbolic, and this is around agents that have decentralized compute. What I really want to get to here is the idea that you should feel free to experiment and build with AgentKit and do really interesting things. It doesn't have to be useful yet. It just has to be really cool and push the boundaries of what's possible. The whole reason this agent space got started was because of Truth Terminal, which was that AI agent that just posted on Twitter. And it really wasn't even an agent, and it also didn't really have crypto abilities. All of the tools to build AgentKit and all of these AI agents have been around for over a year. And the fact of the matter is, all it took was one cool project to actually incentivize people to start looking at this space. Lastly, we have AI robot dogs with wallets. So unless you have an actual robot dog lying around, I think this one's a little bit less feasible for you. But I still want to show you that you can really push the boundary and make some absolutely fantastic, innovative things. Yeah, I mean, what would you do with a robot dog with a wallet? Like give it USDC and it dances or something like that. The fact of the matter is it doesn't truly matter. Much more importantly, we just want to see really cool stuff as polished as you can make it over the period of around 10 days or whatever it is. But yeah, So to launch your own AI agent, I'll talk a little bit about the new code, but I also want to give a little sneak peek about what's coming to AgentKit next. We're always going to be supporting more actions. We highly, highly encourage you as part of this hackathon to make PRs for any specific new actions that you create, or if you add in any new agent frameworks or even wallet providers. We want all of those things. We also want to make it possible to have fully decentralized agents, support all of the different infrastructure that you could need to build out an agent that could eventually run a car. We also want to highlight AI-assisted builder tools and developer tools like Replit, and various different LLMs. We have prompts that are sometimes available to make it as easy as possible for literally anyone to start building agents. And here are some of our previous ideas for builders. A lot of these are things that I've sort of already touched on in various different ways. These ideas are a little bit more specific, but just go to show that there's lots of different opportunities within the agent space. So looking ahead a little bit, excuse me, I think there's a few different ways in which agents start to evolve. The first is that they'll continue to be growing in popularity on chain. I think they'll eventually be the primary actors on chain and will far, far succeed in getting a billion agents on chain before a billion users. As you saw with that robot dog example, I think AI will start to get physical as well, with things like Tesla's Optimus and all sorts of other robotics starting to come to life. I also think we'll see the trend of agents starting to progressively decentralized. One of the biggest critiques right now is that all of them are just like in an AWS server using OpenAI, and that either one of those services could shut them down at any given point. I think we'll see a very similar trend to what we saw with L2s, where at first they were just very, very centralized, and they've progressively decentralized as they need to become more useful. Lastly, I think we'll see more multi-agent swarms. The reason for this is that an agent can't do literally every task you want it to. So there's lots of opportunity for an orchestration agent that calls another execution agent, to accomplish all sorts of different tasks. So yeah, that's a little bit about the Coinbase developer platform. If you haven't joined our Discord, I would highly recommend you do so. We've been diligently following the ETH Global CDP channel, but we do have more engineers within our own Discord channel. So if there's an urgent question or you're tired of waiting for me to get you a response, go into this CDP Discord channel and check out the agent kit. There we'll have all of our engineers ready to help you, all sorts of good stuff and resources, and a community there. We also have our documentation. But I would actually recommend, if you're using the new update, to primarily look at our GitHub, which I will share in just a moment. Before I do that, are there any questions I can cover very quickly about questions or anything that I can do? And yeah, to your point in the comment, yeah, next time I will definitely get an AI agent to help me out with this presentation. But yeah, before we move into the specifics, any questions generally about AgentKit's goals, where we're going, more broader term stuff, and I'll leave a little bit of time at the end for more technical questions or generally things around the code or implementation itself.
Yeah, I have a question. My name is Alex. So the question is about custom action for LLM. Yeah, I review the code on the high level. Yeah, and the action which is in AgentKit, this is not an action to LLM, as I understood, but it's like just a function. Yeah. And as I understood, the idea is just to delegate this to Langchain. Yeah, so we program all the stuff only in Langchain.
Yeah, I see. That's a good question. So, and it very seamlessly segues into our next discussion, which is how exactly the AgentKit repo works. So for a very brief answer, I'll say that the architecture is broken up into two main parts. There is the AgentKit, which is the set of tools that you can give to every AI agent. And then there's the framework specific implementations. So this is sort of more getting to the point of how do I get this to interact with Langchain? Why is this interacting with Langchain specifically? So I'll sort of run through a little bit more about how this works now. So, and like I said, I'll be focusing on TypeScript because this is where our major update recently was. So like within TypeScript, we have AgentKit, which is where all of these tools provide and reside, and the ability to add in new tools and all this functionality is here. And then we also have the LangChain extension. So this is kind of the primary AI agent framework that we've been leaning on. We have a guide here on how to get started using AgentKit LangChain. And basically LangChain abstracts the process of finding an LLM and setting up all of these tools that an agent can use, their actions, such that you're able to give the crypto functionality to an AI agent and let them do whatever they want. Within the agent kit part itself, though, if you dig in a little bit deeper, we also have an examples page where we have 3 versions of chatbots, all built with LangChain. This CDP one comes by default with all sorts of different CDP tools. We can take a look at this now. And I'll generally run you through exactly how it works. This is just a lot of like validating the environment stuff. Where it really gets interesting is inside here, where we're actually creating this agent and initializing AgentKit. So the first thing we do is we initialize an LLM. Inside of our documentation, we do have more information on like the various different ways that you can implement one. So if you're using Claude or Gaia or any one of these other models, you can also use that very easily. Next here, we configure the CDP wallet provider. So to create AgentKit, you need 2 things. One, you need a wallet provider, which could be CDP by default, but you can also use Privy, Lit Protocol, which I know is another sponsor, Turnkey, all sorts of different options. Or you can just plug in a private key and use Veeam, which is like the local library. The second thing you need is an action, a set of action providers. Basically, what the action providers allow you to do is decide exactly what actions you want your agent to take. So, for example, here we have the WETH action provider for wrapping WETH, Pith for getting price feeds, the wallet action provider, which is the default, giving you the ability to send, check your balance, sign messages, all sorts of fun stuff like that. And then we also have something like the CDP API action provider, which is how we plan to give AI agents all the different tools within CDP. Some of these tools require API keys, and if they do, you can easily plug them in here. If they don't, then you don't need to. So it's pretty straightforward. And then we have specific calls to basically take the version of AgentKit that you have and put it into a new format. And then the rest of this is just pretty templatized LLM code for LangChain. So I'll also run very briefly over what it looks like to add a new action. And like I said, there is some pretty fantastic documentation within the repo itself here. This covers all sorts of things like creating AgentKit with specified wallet and action providers, using framework extensions. You can even create new action providers. And like I said, we'd highly encourage you to do an open source contribution on this. We also have wallet providers. Once again, if there's a wallet that you'd like to use, we would absolutely love to see a contribution as well. And this guy goes into all of the details here. If you're wanting to add an action or see what actions are available, you come to this action providers folder, and here's how they're all categorized so you can dig in and look at specific actions. For example, here in the ERC20, going to index allows you to not see it. Where you really want to go is ERC20 action provider here, and this will give you all the different things that you can get as a result of adding in this action package. Last thing I'll call out, and then I'll want to leave some time for questions and get you guys back to hacking, is that we are also have this wallet providers tab. And this is where you can specifically see the various different wallet providers. Right now, we pretty much support 2, CDP wallet provider and the Veeam wallet provider. The difference is that they're both for the EVM chain. However, CDP is specific to the Coinbase wallet API, whereas Veeam is a local wallet where you basically instantiate it with just like a private key and it works, no API keys required. One recommendation I would have is we just finished up a weekend hackathon as well, actually. So we have a lot of open PRs that we haven't had a chance to dig into just yet. So we have things like Alchemy prices in here, Compound, Privy server wallet providers, Claude MCP support, all sorts of pretty cool stuff here. Moonwell capabilities, AI SDK, all of these things that we're working on integrating, but you can click on any of these. And if you want to front run us on this, you can basically come in here, look at these files that are changed and just pull what you need. And now you can integrate with the Vercel AI SDK, Crew AI, Moonwell, Compound, all of these different functionalities very, very, very easily. So with that, I will turn it over to you all for any sort of technical questions that you might have. I see there's some in the comments, so I'm going to start with addressing those first, but feel free to come off mute or ask a comment, do whatever you need to. Let's see here. Using AgentKit with Python. Yeah, so you are absolutely more than welcome to use AgentKit with Python. Our documentation is going to help you the most there at docs.cdp.coinbase.com. The reason I'm not talking about that specifically is because it's the previous version, but it will still work great. At the end of this week, we do plan to upgrade it to our new version, and that does have breaking changes. Generally, the process of moving your agent over will be fairly seamless, so I wouldn't worry about getting started. But I would call out that it is a version behind right now. Is the agent chain agnostic? So when you set up the agent, you create it in such a way that it is assigned to a certain chain. However, one of the things that I love to see done is you add in the ability to add in other chains, and it's very straightforward to do. Basically, the way you do it is you take that Veeam wallet provider, the VIEM one, and you can define whatever chain you want. So any EVM chain will work as long as you have like an RPC that you can go to. So you could create an action to add another wallet to this address that basically has another chain ID on it or something like that. So then you can create this multi-chain wallet. You can add in bridging, do all sorts of really cool stuff. That would be an awesome project. Agents browser use capabilities. So we do have support for Claude MCP. This is probably the closest thing you'll get to browser use. This is open as a PR right now. So if you pull that code, you can start to interact with it a little bit more. Two ways to create an agent: create React agent and create agent executor. The difference between these two. Yeah, good question. So this is Langchain specific. My understanding is that create React agent is the one you're primarily going to want to use. This is the one that allows you to interact in a terminal or another nice interface. Create agent executor, I'm less familiar with, but the Langchain documentation should have more information for you for none of that. Aware of any agent examples, swarms, or pipelines, workflows of agents? Yeah, great question. The primary agent flow that I'm familiar with that is not even technically CDP is the Hive. It's a pretty good Solana project that shows a really nice architecture. All of the stuff that they built over there is like fairly seamlessly portable into AgentKit in some like form or fashion. So I would highly recommend looking at that. Generally, I think the way that it would work is you have specific agents and you have to create some sort of communication layer between two agents such that they can talk to one another. The way we've seen that most done is with specific API calls to various different agents, sort of setting up a server where they can accept calls from external sources. Can you use it with Eliza? Yes, you can. So we do have an Eliza plugin. It's installed by default. We have some community guides on our documentation around that. We have a very good demo from the external contributor who built that out, who has like a 4-hour video showing you how just to get started. So it's not that complex. It doesn't require 4 hours, I promise, but there is a lot of thorough documentation on how you can go about doing that. I saw something about LLM providers. You can use whatever LLM you want. So that makes it pretty straightforward. All of this is in our documentation. Any possible LLM that you could want is available. All of these automated note takers are like throwing my screen everywhere. Plugin/tool call into the subgraph. We don't have that as a feature. Would be awesome to get that as an open source contribution to the repo. We would love to see that. Can you create an action that uses other predefined actions? Yeah, totally. Anything that you can write as a Python or TypeScript function, you can create as a tool, or you can combine tools together to make some pretty interesting things. Yeah, AWS Bedrock, that's possible. Lit protocol, each wallet represents the user is attached to. Yeah, you can use Lit protocol. It's fairly straightforward. This is something that you could pretty easily integrate. We don't have it explicitly integrated. I know the Lit protocol team is working on this. So if you tell them in their ETH global chat, like we want CDP AgentKit integration, maybe it'll incentivize them to work a little bit faster. Yeah, sorry, these note takers are annoying. If you're working with Eliza, how can that be packed into the CDP AgentKit? I'll show you that super briefly in like the minute or two we have a remaining. I'll share my screen again. Yeah, so within Eliza, if you go down to packages, you're going to see package or plugin AgentKit. So this is the plugin that allows you to interact with your agent. One call out here is that it is for our previous version, so not for 0.1.0. So if you're using this, you should use like the NPM version of like 0.0.16 or something like that. We're very quickly working on a change. As soon as it's available, we will upgrade it and update you. It's a very straightforward change, so hopefully that'll be helpful to you, and that'll likely be done here within the next couple of days. And how exactly do you use it? Well, you will create an example.env file, and in that, there's a place where you can put your Coinbase API keys. And if you input them there, then you should be able to start interacting with your agent. If that isn't helpful enough, there is a guide within that README, wherever this package is, there is the guide on how to get started here, which hopefully is helpful. There's also the video that I mentioned in our docs. You use NFT agents using NFTs. You could create agents that deploy NFTs. We have that as a feature. They still need a wallet because generally, like, you need something for them to send, obviously, or send it from. Okay, let's see. Another question. I know we're tight on time, so ETH Global team, if we need to hop off, let me know. If not, I'll just keep answering questions. Is creating a tool with Python documented? It is. Yeah, that's totally possible. We have all that information inside of our docs. Within the examples is only the management of AgentKit. Would you recommend to integrate it with the on-chain kit or not necessarily? Good question. You can integrate it with on-chain kit. I think it's awesome to bring in two components. The AgentKit is more like backend facing, whereas the on-chain kit is more user facing. So I think they're pretty seamless. You could put them together where you have the AgentKit that users can interact with, and they use on-chain kit to do stuff like fund their wallet, create a smart wallet, sign in, all of that stuff. Is there a client WhatsApp? There's not. There's a Telegram one. We have an example of that in our documentation. If you can't find it, ping me. But I would love to see a WhatsApp integration as well. CDP agent wallet connected to a CDP API key? Yes, by default it is. So if you want to use the default wallet, you enter your keys. If you want to use that V one that we talked about, then you don't have to. You can just enter a private key and that will work. The Python version does not allow you to change the wallet providers. That's what we're working on getting out this week. It's currently behind the TypeScript version by a single version. It's a big version, so we're trying to get that out by the end of the week. If you start building on the Python version right now, it should be fairly easy to port over to the new version, so I wouldn't let that stop you. Okay, cool. I think that's all the questions. If I missed any, I'm sorry. I blame Otter AI. But I will be in the documentation or in the Discord. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to find me there, and I will continue to answer questions, get you introduced to all the engineers that you need to. We can take things from there. Thanks.
Amazing. Lincoln Murr with Coinbase. Thank you so much. What a great presentation on figuring out how to use the Coinbase AgentKit to give your guys' AI agents wallets. So if you guys need any more questions, please find him in the Discord. And we'll have this video up for you guys on the ETH Global YouTube for the remainder of the hackathon. Thank you, Lincoln, so much for sharing. And ETH Global, I think we are good to